We're all going through a very difficult and challenging time in our lives. There's no denying this, and it can be particularly difficult to maintain a positive attitude through all of this, but at the same time, it's necessary. It's all too easy to be so focused on everything wrong with the situation, as well as everything that could go wrong, that we overlook the many fortunate aspects. If you're isolated at home, as many of us are, you may be thinking about how wonderful it would be to be able to leave and go out and do all the things that you might normally do. But on the other hand, you may overlook how fortunate it is that you have a home to stay in during this time. Or you may overlook how fortunate you are to have a comfortable bed to sleep in, food to eat, internet to keep you informed and entertained. Can you imagine not having any of these things during this time? Can you imagine how much more challenging it would be, and how fortunate you actually are at this moment to have access to these things? And perhaps you still have your health as well. And if so, isn't that something to be grateful for? And if perhaps your health is not so good at the moment, still, there must be many things which we can appreciate nonetheless. If you have any comforts at all, if you have anyone in your life who is there for you, whether physically present or at a distance, offering love and support, offering comfort, to shift our focus for the moment to what we have available to us that we can truly appreciate. And I'm not suggesting that we ignore the negative or unfortunate aspects of the situation. We have to be aware of those things, especially if we want to remain healthy and safe. But as I said, we can become so obsessed with those things that we overlook the positive aspects. And perhaps this situation is revealing to us many of the things that we take for granted. There are so many things in life that we take for granted, that we fail to appreciate, oftentimes because they're so commonplace. I'm sure there are many people who are now realizing how much we take for granted now that so many of those things are becoming scarce or inaccessible. It often takes losing something to realize how important it is and how much we appreciate it. And we may be primarily focused on all the things that we're missing in this moment, all the things we do not have or cannot do. Suddenly we appreciate those things all the more. But at the same time, there may also be many other things we typically take for granted that we do still have. And we may be currently taking those things for granted because we're so focused on what we don't have that we fail to appreciate what we do have. So the question becomes, what can we appreciate in this moment? What can we be grateful for? What fortunate aspects are there available to us that we would otherwise take for granted? Can we shift our attention in this way? Can we look at what is available to us in this moment and ask ourselves, what might I be taking for granted at this moment? What might I be overlooking? What do I currently have that I'm not fully appreciating? Again, not that we deny or ignore whatever is unfortunate about the situation, but rather that we give more of our attention to what is fortunate, to what is available to us, to the many blessings that we have in the moment and in every moment. As we go throughout our day, we can intentionally look for things to appreciate, regardless of how small or simple. When you drink a glass of water, to appreciate that water. When you take a bite of food, to appreciate that food. When you rest on the couch or in bed, to appreciate that simple comfort. Just to be thankful in each moment for these simple things that we often take for granted. And we can also be grateful at this time for all the people who make these things available to us, to all the farmers who grow the food we eat, the workers who harvest it, the truck drivers who transport it, the grocery workers who stock the shelves and work the registers, to all those people who at this time are serving in some way, the delivery drivers, the sanitation workers, the doctors and nurses, the scientists and so on, all those people who are currently holding society together. And you will find that this perspective affects the way you feel. We often don't realize that the secret to happiness is simply to be grateful for whatever you currently have. And that gratitude is what generates joy. The more grateful you are, the more joyful. But given the current situation, even if gratitude doesn't make you joyful, it can at least relieve a great deal of anxiety. It can at least relieve much of our emotional and psychological suffering. It can, at the very least, make this difficult situation all the more bearable, perhaps offering us a little more clarity, a little more calm, a little more peace. In difficult times, it is perhaps more important than ever to cultivate gratitude. It is all the more important to appreciate what we have. And regardless of the situation, there is always something to be grateful for. We just have to take the time to look. If you find value in this content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe.